Well, hey folks, I'm going to talk to you about your Talk data. This lab this week requires that you work with an Excel spreadsheet, and I want to go over with you just briefly. First of all, this ice core, this data came from an ice core, which is just a big round cylinder of ice, very very long, taken by the Russians at Vostok Station. A very well known core. It's been correlated with also other cores. So the data is solid. It's solid as the ice. What happens with the ice is you get snowfall, the annual snowfall, that turns into firn and then ice, and then it traps the dust of the dust in the atmosphere and the gases in the atmosphere. And from those little gas bubbles, we can then determine what the CO2 concentrations were at that time and the methane concentrations, along with a number of other things. So here we have depth in meters. Here we have the age of the ice in thousands of years. So this is 4,260, for instance. Here we also have the delta deuterium ratio. Deuterium, which is hydrogen, which is an isotope of hydrogen. So it's got one proton, one electron, and a neutron. There's also tritium, it has two neutrons. But this isotope of hydrogen is the one we use for temperature correlation because there's a one-to-one ratio between the uh, deuterium concentration and temperature, and we can use it then to calculate, if we can, oxygen isotopes, which you looked at last week, to then calculate temperature directly, which I've done here. It's one of your tasks. I think it was task 2 or 3. Um, anyway, I've put some metadata or data about the data over here to tell you what these things mean and what their units are to help you out. So this is just stuff that came out of layers of ice, is what it comes down to. The lab itself asks you to do a couple of things, and if you're using the version of Excel that you download from Office 360 through the college, it'll look something like this when you put the data in. Actually, I just gave you the spreadsheet. I don't even ask you to put the data in. That's a whole other step. But this is what it does, okay? And it gives you these columns. This automatic column it creates is a bit of a pain. And so when you grab the data, my recommendation is to ignore that column that row as much as possible. But one thing it does allow you to do is it gives you the sort function automatically if you decide you want to use that. Anyway, so we are going to look at how to insert an equation in Excel and then how to create a plot and then how to put that plot into your lab report. So task 2, which I think it's one of the early tasks, asks you to calculate a temperature. Now, the average temperature in Vostok currently is about negative 55 degrees Celsius. Now, to do this, we're going to use the deuterium ratio right over here to calculate the temperature. And if you click on the cell here, you'll note this is the equation exactly as it comes out of off of the website that I've linked you to for the lab. That website's a little old, so some of the links don't work. I've given you replacement data for those links that don't work. Otherwise, the questions and everything else are still valid. So this is the negative 55. So because I want this cell to equal whatever this equation calculates to, all I do is start typing equals. I just put an equal sign in there, and Excel automatically knows that there's going to be an equation following. So equals negative 55.5, just as the equation says, plus, and in parentheses, I want to put my deuterium ratio, which is what this was. And all I did to put this in there was to simply go over here and click on this cell. Plus 440, okay? And you'll see that 440 basically brings it back up to close to 0 for a lot of these. Then divided by 6. Then if I hit enter, what it does is well, I've already calculated it. So if I hit enter, it automatically calculates it. What this version of Excel did was automatically calculate the entire column. If yours doesn't do that, you'll have a bunch of blank cells down here. You need to grab this bottom right hand corner, click and hold, and drag it down all the way down to cell 198, well 196 actually, and it will calculate everything for you, and it'll automatically grab the cell that you're trying to grab there. All right, so that's how you create the equation. Now, how do you create a plot? I want to plot this data. I apologize. I've got a little kid dragging toys downstairs. I want to plot this data. I want to grab the data first. I'm going to grab both columns here, or even better yet, I'm just going to grab the data itself and drag it down and just grab this. In order to do this, I'm then going to go back up here to the top, and I'm going to go to the Insert menu, where the graphs are. And I'm going to grab one of these charts. The kind that I typically want in most situations, is a scatter plot, which is simply this one. But once I do that, it's going to create a plot that looks like this. This is okay. So I'm looking at delta. What I'm actually looking at here is the row number versus the deuterium. So I'm not actually looking at the right data, because you'll see my delta data is negative 400 plus values, and you'll note the x-axis goes from 0 to 196. Look at this last cell. You'll see I'm actually looking at number 195 and negative 64, which is actually the row number and the temperature. So it's not plotting it correctly automatically. So what I have to do is then go into the select data here and figure out what's going on. And then, of course, I can do that by going and hitting the edit menu. And then I'm going to look at my x values. If I want to change my x values, I can just click on this little button here. But you can see it's telling me which column are my x values. If I drag on down here, it's grabbed correct x values. And then so I can click on that, and I can go look at my y values. And again, if I drag down here and look, it's got the right values, exactly what I told it to graph. But
I got all my cool cars.
Fabulous.
Can I show you all my cool cars?
Give me 2 minutes. Okay, so that was my 5-year-old. So I hit OK, and then I hit OK again. My graph hasn't changed. So you have to troubleshoot these things a little bit, and I'm not going to spend time doing that right now, because that's something I want you to work through. But if you do this in Google, your graph may start off looking very different. Excel and Google handle this data similarly, but they also handle it a little bit differently right off the bat. So, as I did the same thing in Google Sheets, and the graph was where it should have been, which is flipped over here to the 0 to negative 500 side. So anyway, have some fun with that. If I want to put this into my lab report, I'm going to right-click on this, and I'm going to go to copy, and then simply go to my document and paste it in there. And that's all there is to it. Make sure that before you do that, give your chart a title. In order to do that in Excel, you can do chart title over here, tell it where you want the chart title and so forth. Axis titles. Every chart should have an axis title. So in this case, I would click on this for my primary horizontal, and make sure you put units in. And then my primary vertical, which would show up over there. If there's no axis titles, I don't know what you're looking at, what I'm looking at in terms of the data. It's really, really important. And in your lab report, you should even have a figure caption for your chart. All right, I'm going to leave it there. So I wish you all the best luck, and ask questions if you need to. Otherwise, I am going to sign off for now.
Bye. Bye. No. What's that, Mama?
No.
Who was that? Who was that?